Fit to Love, episode 45, How Pilates Can Change Your Body.
Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flizanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Wellness Wednesdays. Today's show, How Pilates Can Change Your Body. And our guest expert today is Tracy Coe of Coe-Dynamics Pilates. In 2002, with a desire to serve the well-being of her community, Tracy Coe redirected her focus to assisting others to achieving their goals of physical fitness and wellness. Tracy packaged a 6-year business career with an extensive education of Pilates certifications, medical exercise conditioning specialist, physical therapy assistance, and a wellness and QRA certification. Coe-Dynamics was established in 2003 and is now the South Bay's premier Pilates wellness and TRX studio. Coe-Dynamics helps clients transform their overall health through Pilates instruction, wellness education programs, and individual wellness consultations. Tracy and her staff at Coe-Dynamics hold a high devotion that their education of Pilates, fitness, and health is never complete, but a constant evolution of learning and dedication. Welcome, Tracy, to the show.
Well, thank you, JJ.
So today we're going to talk about how Pilates can change your body. I know for a lot of people out there, people who don't know about Pilates, but they've heard about Pilates, can you give them an understanding of the difference or why it's important for them to consider and add Pilates to their workouts?
Well, the first thing I usually get from a client that has never taken Pilates before, almost indefinitely every single time, I never knew I had those muscles. I hear that constantly. And so what happens is people begin to become more aware of what they have available to them inside their body to support their own body, whether it be just sitting at a desk or in a car or driving a golf club to bring that golf ball a lot longer in their range.
Great. And I know I've added Pilates to my workouts in the past. I included it in the ab book, and you were a part of that, and I thank you very much for that because it is a great addition to any program. It's, again, a foundational type of exercise that helps to create greater strength. So what are the most popular benefits that people would get from Pilates?
Okay, so some of the more popular benefits, and I really love this one, is people feel taller. They become stronger, and a strength that's coming more, that exudes more from the inside. They walk out and they feel just better. They might walk into the studio feeling achy, and they walk out, and again, over and over again, they're like, gosh, I feel so much better. So just a self-feeling of feeling better. You feel stronger. You actually are stronger physically. People might feel more flexible as a result of all that. And then, again, just the sensation and also a slight physical change of a lengthened or being taller because the way you hold yourself.
And who doesn't want to be taller?
Exactly.
So now I know that there are different kinds of Pilates out there. Can you educate people as to when they hear these different words and machines, why and what and how and when?
Well, I can educate. What I'd like to do is educate from how I've been educated, and that's really working with the principles of Pilates. And so when I speak of principles, there were about 6 to 8 principles that Pilates was driven from. Breath, control, coordination, flow, centering. And basically all these are saying is how are you moving from point A to point B and back to point A again in your body to create an exercise to happen. It's not about how pretty does the exercise look. It's not how low your legs can go or how high you can curl up, but exactly how are you bringing your body into the exercise to make that movement happen. And it's really where the power comes from. And so these principles in themselves are the true foundation of Pilates, no matter what the movement looks like.
Well, I know that over the course of the last couple of years, how, fitness has fads. We both get affected by how, people get bored with certain things, and so they want to add other things to it. And that's all well and good, but in the process, sometimes things get lost. And foundations and principles get skewed because people think that exercise is just exercise. So with that said, what are some of the new hybrids of Pilates that have lost, and I don't mean to say that they're bad or that they don't have a purpose, but just to give people, so I'll give you an example from my point of view. So CrossFit. I'm not a huge fan of CrossFit. What CrossFit is high-intensity interval training. And I have no problem with high-intensity interval training, but because my position is joint integrity and joint stability and maintaining the cartilage in your joints and not wearing it down faster and degenerating yourself faster, I'm about good form, smart exercises that can be then turned into high-intensity interval training. And some of the exercises I see in CrossFit are very high risk for the joints. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of CrossFit. However, the foundation of CrossFit, high-intensity interval training, is fine, provided that, right? So people, just to give them a warning of, people get bored and they want something really high intensity and they want different movements and they want to be engaged on all sides and have it be extreme, and that's why I think people love it and why they like it. A lot of people are getting injured from it. But can you tell anyone who's listening, because they'll see different kinds of Pilates classes combined with yoga or combined with weights, can you talk a little bit about the differences and then the benefits and the risks involved with all these different kinds of Pilates?
Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, I was just going to mention, as you were explaining, basically what you're doing with your work is you're integrating Pilates into your high intensity, which makes a very well-rounded, full-balanced, wonderful workout. And so what I am seeing just by experience of people who have come in who have had other sorts of Pilates experience is that they might know the movements, but again, their execution of the movement could be is not thought through, we'll say, whether it be from the mind or from the body. The connections are of the internal muscles or the postural muscles or the muscles that are supposed to be executing are not actually working to get somebody into a certain exercise position. And so what that can do is that can drive further irritation to aggravations they already have in their joints, such as the neck, the back, the hip flexors. Rather than correcting those, which Pilates does really well of, it actually ends up hindering those areas much more. So what I'm seeing evolving is, and I think it's great because Pilates is built on flow, and if you get a natural flow going through your body, your movements are definitely going to pick up intensity. But the first is getting the foundations of it, is really building the core and then executing out from the core. So I'm seeing a lot of movements happen with the head, the necks, the arms, and the legs, but I see no core being incorporated with the movement.
So it just comes down to form and, like you said, creating that foundation for inside out, from that core strength out versus people sort of doing external exercises and not incorporating, like you said, that foundation of flow and strength that Pilates gives.
And I think it's also becoming aware of really what are the core muscles. Again, I've worked with so many people and they say I never knew I had those muscles because they never either been given the time to really feel where they actually are and how they work along with other movements or exercises per se.
Pilates is often advised for people who have a lot of injuries, back pain, knee problems, and they can't really stand. And I think that's because some of the equipment allows them to be on their back and supine and not have a lot of weight on them. Can you speak to some of the ways that Pilates is used best? So if I'm looking for exercise and what benefits can I hope to get from Pilates quickly or within the first 6 months, provided that I'm doing it regularly?
It works your whole body. It does elevate your cardio. It's not high intensity, but it does elevate your heart rate when you get to that point. So it does tone the body. It does improve posture. You do sit and stand differently. You actually can sit and stand for longer durations of time. You could possibly even last in a golf game or a baseball game or a volleyball game for a longer duration, both endurance-wise as well as with your joints and your muscles not fatiguing so quickly because you're building endurance for these muscles. That all being said, it is also a wonderful pre- and post-therapy for people who have other joint issues or former aches and pains. It's an excellent therapy for those, because what happens is you're really gaining those same muscle awarenesses and strengthening to hold yourself better, so you have less pressure going down on the joints. And many times the reason why you lie down versus stand with your exercises is so that you can retrain the body in a way that is not in an environment that it's not familiar with.
Great. And I know that there's mat Pilates and there's reformer Pilates, there's individual, there's classes, there's couples, there's all kinds of different styles of classes, correct?
Well, there has been mentions of classical Pilates, high-intensity Pilates. So, yeah, there are different forms. Really what it boils down to is based on a person's individual level and where they are in terms of, are they a beginner, are they advanced, do they want just more of a gentle type of Pilates, or do they want more of a high-intensity Pilates where the Pilates movements are constantly changing from one to the other and they're short reps and you're constantly moving into your Pilates sessions.
Okay, so now we understand that there's all different kinds of Pilates equipment and classes and ways to program sessions and a workout based on someone's fitness level, based on what their needs are, and how they're going to progress. How many sessions do you think it takes generally to make a difference? And use a couple different examples of someone who's just a beginner, they've never done anything before, maybe they're really overweight and they have knee problems and back problems, and then jump to the person who's already working out, but maybe they also have a little bit of back pain, but they're pretty strong in their other muscles and they're very regimented about their routine and they're looking to add in Pilates as a supplement to round out their fitness workouts.
Excellent question. So what I would first say is for that first example that you gave, overall, hands down, it really becomes from body awareness and how aware somebody is with their body, because the more aware somebody is, the better able they are to carry the practice of Pilates within their body in their daily activity world. So for your first example, let's say I would say that person maybe not have a lot of body awareness based on what you're explaining. And so it could take about 3 sessions per week until they actually become more aware of their body to obtain the benefit that they're looking for to support their back, support their aches and their pains. I would definitely say no less than twice a week for that person. How long? What's the duration? Again, that really depends. But what was typically known with Joseph Pilates, when you are practicing Pilates consecutively, within 10 sessions you can feel a difference. Within 20 sessions, you can see a difference. And within 30 consecutive sessions, let's say being consistent, not consecutive, but consistent sessions, you are transformed. So for that second example that you gave me, for someone who might have a little back pain and is regimented about their body, I would say they definitely have a stronger body awareness. Never really going less than once per week, but I would say ideally twice per week for that person to get into that 30-session transformation.
Well, that sounds like a good number scale to work from, 10 sessions, 20 sessions, 30 sessions. It gives people at least small short-term goals to look forward to and to check in with and to stay motivated?
Yes, I hope so.
Pilates obviously can strengthen. We've talked about all the different ways from golfing and in muscular endurance and alleviating pain and creating strength. What about the physical appearance? How does Pilates, or how can Pilates change someone's physical appearance?
Again, this is another reason why I love Pilates. I'll give the basics. It tones your muscles. It doesn't pump up the muscles, but it tones and lengthens them. So you get definition in your body. As a result, it creates a leaner look, as well as because you are carrying yourself differently or with more support, that also does both. It does the toning and creates the leaner, more confident type of look. It trims the midsection. It trims the thighs. It helps open up the chest. It helps strengthen the back muscles. And there have been times from personal experience that I had no other choice because of certain injuries that I've had. I had no other choice, but the only type of exercise I could do was Pilates. And it kept me trim and lean and fit, even with the amount of injury that I had.
Great. If you are listening and you don't live anywhere near Southern California and you're interested in trying out some Pilates, Tracy is going to explain some of the basic foundational tips that you could use yourself at home right now to try it out, and also give us some information about how to find an interview and what to look for in a Pilates teacher or class or studio. But before we do that, before she answers that question, we're going to have to break and thank our sponsors.
Do you want to look and feel years younger? Learn more about your hormone health and how to get properly tested. Sign up for the Healthy Hormone Kit at nourishingwellness.com. It features the essential tests you need to tell your doctor to order for you to learn more about your current levels. Plus, you'll receive lots of healthy eating and lifestyle tips to improve your hormone health naturally. Again, that's www.nourishingwellness.com. If you are like most people who struggle with overeating, you may feel powerless over your habits and urges to eat. Powerless over what and how much you eat. Break the vicious cycle of emotional eating and take back your power over food with Dr. Lisa Gelper. Dr. Lisa Gelper has helped thousands discover their own power over food and help them to win freedom from the obsession and defeat that haunt yo-yo dieters, emotional eaters, and those who just hope to lose some weight. Visit her site at poweroverfood.com to read her articles, watch her videos, sign up for her monthly email tips, and check out her current classes. Again, that's poweroverfood.com.
All right, Tracy, so obviously if somebody is living here in Southern California, we're going to give your information out at the end of this show so people know how to find you if they want to try a class or a private session or come to one of your classes. But for people that are out there that don't have access to classes or a studio, what are some of the things they can do at home?
Certainly. I believe pretty much almost anywhere you could probably find a class for yourself, but I'm thinking more time-wise. If you cannot find a class, some things that you can do at home, it is actually all over the internet. YouTube, there's Pilates Anytime, there's methods like that you can find some movements, and even my website has some Pilates. But let's say you're at home and you just don't even have a chance to get to the computer, it gets there. There are some very basic things that you can do just to start activating your core muscles to help carry you through the day. So a very basic one would be to stand up against a wall and just do a standing roll down. And what that does, and then you roll yourself back up. What that does is a couple of things. It helps move the spine, so it creates movement, flexibility, mobility in your spine, which is very important to keeping a healthy body. It also will help turn on your abdominal muscles, or your core muscles, we'll just say, because you're going to be suspending away from gravity. And then lastly, it creates a sense of stretching because it does lengthen out your muscles. So a standing roll down would be a perfect example that you can do all those. And you could even do it from a seated position as well if you're in at the office, and you could just sit close to the edge of your chair and do a roll down while you're sitting from the head to your waistline and back up again.
Well, that's a great way to take a break in the middle of the day. So if anyone wonders how to get a little bit of exercise and rejuvenation in the middle of their workday, do a seated roll down. Make sure that your door is shut, though, or that you let people know what you're doing so they don't think you've fallen over and had a heart attack. Any other tips or tricks people can do at home, Tracy, to sort of start stimulating some of these muscles and get themselves ready to take a class?
Absolutely. You could do some basics if you've got a good identification of kind of what your core is and you feel stable in your joints and your hips and your back. You could just start standing on one foot. You don't even have to take your complete foot off the floor. You can just roll off your heel to the tip of the toe on one foot. So what you're going to do then is you're going to be able to strengthen some glute muscles, some thigh muscles, along with the core muscles, which are going to support you from not tipping over to the side or to the front or to the back. So while you're standing, and you can roll one of your foot up and down, so then you get some ankle mobility at the same time. So again, Pilates does work the core, but it really works the whole body, and you learn how to move through it while you're being supported by the core within itself.
Great. Now, if I'm listening to this, and let's start with you, and I live in Southern California, and I'm interested in taking a class or a private lesson, what is your website, and how do I get in touch with you?
Well, our website is Coe-Dynamics, and that's COE-Dynamics.com. We are located in Manhattan Beach. Another way you can easily access us is straight through the phone, 310-798-7600. And we do have videos on our website that you could take a look at some of the teachings, as well as get yourself started possibly with some Pilates movements in itself and see if it might be a good fit for you.
And if someone does not live here, how would they go about, what are some recommendations for finding the right kind of class, teacher, studio?
Excellent, yes. I believe you should interview your studio and find out whatever studio you're going to, find out what their mission is. Find out how they select the teachers that actually work there at the studio. What type of training program do the teachers go through, and do they continuously educate themselves? I think those are some very important general rules. There is an international not-for-profit organization that helps support the growth and the education and the training of Pilates. It's the Pilates Method Alliance, and they have a website. It's strictly that, PilatesMethodAlliance.org. And they also have a list of questions that you can pull up and maybe bring or call the studio, and you can select some questions to help yourself find a studio that fits what you're looking for.
Are there some red flags or things to avoid when looking for, like, dangers when looking for a studio or a teacher or a class?
Well, I would say if you're personally experiencing Pilates and it doesn't feel good, if it's hurting your body in a painful way, that would be a huge red flag. If you have back problems, let's say, and you come out of the studio and your back is hurting worse, that's a huge red flag. And it's happened. It might sound funny because some people might think, oh, my back should be hurting worse because I'm trying to strengthen it. That's not the case. Another case might be, this is an education. This is Pilates is really understanding how to support the body of its posture, both in static position as well as moving position. So if you're taking a Pilates session from a teacher that's had a weekend Pilates course, I would look further in depth into what else they have in their background to find out if they really understand the body and how it should be moving so that it can be well supported as well as well exercised.
Good. Well, I definitely know from personal experience with personal trainers that same thing, if there's just a weekend certification and they've got a good personality and a good body, doesn't mean they know how to handle resistance or physics or mechanics or know anything about anatomy or physiology and how to apply all these things, put them together, and give it something to you that will be effective and efficient and safe and not hurt you at the same time. So remember, people, all exercise is not created equal. Do your homework when you're finding out what to do for yourself, what the best approach is. And Tracy, one more question. What does Pilates not do? Because I know people think, well, I'm just exercising. That just means that I should be doing something, and something's better than nothing. But really, all exercise is under the said principle of specific adaptation to oppose demands. So we're only going to get better at what we practice. So what things does Pilates not do so that people are just clear in terms of their expectations when they come in, what not to expect?
Yeah, excellent. So Pilates does not, we'll say, replace other forms of exercises. It can replace some of them, but let's say you want to become a long-distance cyclist. You can't train Pilates 5 days a week and then maybe 1 day a week get on the bike and think you're going to be able to bike from 5 miles to 50 miles. Okay, so you still have to practice, but what's great about it is you can integrate the Pilates into that regimen to allow your body to help build that endurance and build that speed. So it's not a replacement for some sports, we'll say, but it's definitely a great additive to sports. Pilates is not meant to be, we'll say in these terms, high intensity. It does elevate your heart rate, but it's not going to build a very strong heart rate and then it just drops right away, okay? It's a flowing type of movement. So although it elevates it, it doesn't elevate to high intensity levels, at least the classical or traditional or the flowing form of Pilates in itself.
Right, which is why there are combinations of Pilates with other exercises or high intensity or cardio that get people sort of a more well-rounded program so that they get strength and weight loss at the same time. Because I know if you're coming in and working on a reformer and you're trying to build core strength, you're not necessarily going to be losing, shedding pounds quickly, correct?
Oh, no, you are still losing weight. Again, it's not always a high intensity that has to be involved. I've seen people lose weight just with Pilates and having a proper diet. But in terms of different forms of being able, or how fast you want to lose the weight, possibly, but also in terms of getting that extra cardio build. Everybody's body is built differently, and so sometimes people might need additional cardio in order to get to their goal a little faster.
Gotcha. Okay, everyone. Well, hopefully, if you have any questions for Tracy, you're welcome to send her an email. Check out her site, Coe-Dynamics.com, and give her a call. And if you're looking for a Pilates instructor, be sure to go back and listen to all the things Tracy has recommended when interviewing and finding the right studio for you, because it can make all the difference. Make sure that you're not feeling pain and that you are getting results and that it's a pleasant experience at the same time. So, Tracy, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to help educate people a little bit more about what Pilates can bring to their workouts and how to go about finding the right program for them.
Well, thank you very much.
Is your website working for you? If it's not, Every Angle Media can help transform your existing business presence and build you a website that works when you're not working. Visit us online at everyanglemedia.com. Want up-to-date recipes, product reviews, exercises, and mental stimulation? Find step-by-step articles from top-notch experts on invisiblefitness.com/blog. The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly videocasts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT2LOVE.tv. Have a fit and fabulous day.